Don't give up on yourself. There were times where I wanted to just like be done and I was super frustrated, but you can never give up on yourself. Yes, you might feel like you're in the fire and you feel like you're at the lowest point you can hit, but Jesus is right there and he's not quitting on us and he's not quitting on me. So why would I quit on myself? I just don't think there's any aspect of life you can truly get through and thrive in without the Lord. And so basketball has just been a platform for me, and soccer was a platform for my sister. But I've just learned like I can't get through anything by myself. And I think my sister had the same experience. So regardless of how your season may go or how classes may go, knowing that you have a foundation in Christ, it just helps everything else in life fall into place. So, at the end of the day, you're living for an audience of one. And so if you're doing things right by the Lord, then everything else will fall in naturally.
And it's easier even when it doesn't feel like it is to trust that it is.
Absolutely. That's where I give a lot of credit back to Coach A as far as my experience and journey. There were a lot of mental highs and lows last year. I wasn't really sure of who I was. And Coach A was right by my side. And every time I would get down on myself, she immediately pointed me back to Jesus. And you don't get that in a lot of places. And it's something that I'll never take for granted because she's helped me grow in my relationship with God simply by watching her walk it out in her own life. And so it's just helped me, honestly, the last 2 years, just find out who I am. And this year, I feel like you can see such a difference on the court and off the court within myself, just simply because of where I stand with God now.
On the court, you're having the best year of your career so far. So
Yes,
that's exciting, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. As far as teaching the Jesus, is there a teaching in particular, speaking of like Coach pointing you back to Jesus, is there a teaching of his in particular that that sticks with you during hard and better times?
So the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, um, that one has stood out just in the sense of, are you willing to stand up for your faith? And are you confident in that enough to, risk your life? Granted, I've obviously never been in a position where my life is on the line, but those three were, and they never bowed to any idol. They never worshiped any king except for Jesus. And when they got thrown into the fire, that's when Jesus was with them. He was with them always, but that's when they saw four men in the fire. And so it was just a reminder that, yes, you might feel like you're in the fire and you feel like you're at the lowest point you can hit, but Jesus is right there. And he's not quitting on us and he's not quitting on me. So why would I quit on myself? And just having the teammates that I have over the last years, Elena Shetler has been a big spiritual role model in my life. And that's one of her favorite stories too. So just having that like as a reminder, that Jesus is always in the fire with you, it's been really not easy because it's never easy to get through hard times, but it's just comforting knowing that you're not alone.
What do you think the closest metaphor to that story would have been in your life up to this point?
So when I was 10 years old, my mom got diagnosed with breast cancer on my birthday. And that was just, talk about flipping your life upside down. I didn't fully understand what it all would entail, but hearing that your mom has cancer it just rocks your world. And seeing her fight through that, once again, one of the lowest points you can get through, extremely weak, but spiritually she stayed very strong. And seeing Jesus show up in our life just through that experience and healing my mom. And she's January 27th, she'll be celebrating 10 years cancer free. And so it's just incredible to look back at when we thought we could lose my mom, who's like the rock of our family and stuff. And just seeing the way my dad supported her and the way Jesus supported our family and my dad, it was just one of those moments when I'll never forget. But too, it's just a great reminder that when you're going through hard things in life, that's all you can lean on is your faith.
And you think that was the core element that saved her?
100%. I don't think without Jesus, one, the doctors were phenomenal and medicine is great, but your spirit goes through a different level of fight. And so I think the Lord is the reason that her spirit was able to, and her mind was able to get past the fight. And, you know, I prayed that the doctors would have the knowledge to do what they do. And I just think God's hand is in all of that.
Do you believe that that's one of the things that's helped you build a foundation of prayer at such a young age, when you learn that your whole family's prayers really did get answered? And it's amazing to be cancer free for this long.
Absolutely. And I just think that our community that we were around too, knowing that it just wasn't our family praying for my mom, we would get texts and messages and all these things all the time. Like 50 every single day, just, hey, we're trying to check in on you. We'd have meals provided for us. So my dad didn't have to worry about cooking for our family. It was just like the way our community showed up and the way they were praying for her also. There's just strength in numbers, and knowing that we had that support, it allowed God to really do what he does.
Yeah, I think that there's two aspects to really, really strong faith. There's one, talking the talk and believing, and that's a really important part of the equation. But the other equation you bring up is when people are really living the values, and it sounds like you had that in your community. You have the actions of people bringing the meals to your house, showing up for you in ways other than just saying, I am supporting you. They're just showing it with their actions. And it sounds like that also played a really big role in the success that your mother was able to have in fighting such a challenging battle.
It really did, and it was honestly also good for my dad to have people to be able to lean on, because he had to do so much for our family. Me and my sister were both very young. I was 10 and she was 12 when my mom got the news, and he just had to be strong for all of us. And the way he stepped up and led our family and allowed people to help us, I think was remarkable. And I think it just showed me and my sister it's okay to have a community, and it's okay to let people support you, especially when it's through the right intention and when you feel like your faith isn't strong enough at the time, and then you have a community bring their faith into it. It just is one of those moments that you didn't think would have an impact, and then you look back and it's like, whoa, we had so many people supporting our family. We had so many people talking to God, and I think that's absolutely the reason that my mom was able to get healed.
And it's interesting, 'cause you said that you didn't face death or anything, but your mother did. And in some ways, at such a young age, that's even more scary.
Absolutely. She is one of the strongest people I know, and was one of the strongest people I knew before cancer and stuff. And so seeing her unable to do the things she does every day for us, but still support us and love us, and she never made it about her. She never let it compromise who she was. And as your kid, 10 years old, you don't fully understand everything she's going through, you know? And so some days I'm like, why can't you come play with us outside? Why can't you get up and she never let that stop her or deter her from being a mom. And it's just super encouraging for, like, I want to be a mother one day. I want to have my own family. And so having my mom and dad set that example of what strength looks like, what a family looks like, and the support looks like, it makes me really excited for my future because of the foundation I've had as a child.
As far as the program here goes, what would be the number one moment you'd look at in which Coach A has been able to successfully kind of integrate Christ into the program?
She does it every single day. There's not a day we're in the gym, not a day post-game, post anything, pre-game, that we don't talk about Jesus and how we can rely on his strength. And um, ultimately, the confidence that we have in the Lord will transition to the confidence we have in ourselves. And it's mentioned every single day. So it's not just like a thing she sprinkles in here and there. It's truly who she is and what she's about. And for that to transition onto the court, it's just really fun to be a part of, and it's really fun to watch our teammates go through that transition as well. And so, yeah, it's just who Coach A is, and it's something we do all the time.
What's your favorite pregame or postgame speech she's given?
When we beat North Texas, that was probably my favorite post-game speech, hype. So she always comes into the locker room after and is always like, let's go, and she gets super hype, and um, she's just so proud of us and our fight and our ability to not back down. And I want to make sure I get this right, but she had said,
God show love, but y'all show out.
that was just super encouraging and super exciting for us, because it's a two-way street, you know, like God's going to do what he's going to do always, because that's who he is and he's consistent, but we have to also show up in that. And we showed up in the second half. We executed everything, and he showed out for us and made miracle happen. 23-point deficit to an incredible program, and we got the win. And so her coming in with so much energy, hype. We did have the water bottles. It was just a really cool moment to be a part of, and to see our freshmen so engaged in it too. It was just a really cool experience. And yeah, her post-game speeches, they're pretty awesome.
They're top of the line.
Yes, she's just always so proud of us, and just so much energy and excitement, and she just has so much joy in coaching, and you can really tell at the game or at halftime in the locker room, she just wants the best for us, and she's going to do whatever she can to help us get there.
I think sometimes a lot of coaches can have the enthusiasm, the energy, and all the things that she entails, but there's so few that really you can tell how authentic they are. And she's someone that you can really see. She really does love you guys way more than just basketball.
Yes, in my 3 years being with her, she has not changed herself for anyone. And it's just encouraging to me, especially those first 2 years when I was a little lost and figuring out where I stood with God and everything I was going through, and to find out, like, kind of learning who I am and being confident in that. Seeing her never waver in who she is and never waver in what she believes in has been a great role model for me. Just to know that some people are going to love it, some people aren't, and that's okay, because that's who you are, that's who you're created to be. And so it's been really cool as her player to watch her walk it out every day.
That's incredible.
Yes.
And then you have 2 years here where you compete, but you're not playing quite the minutes you are this year. What really was the turning point as Coach A came in this year that really helped you break out this season, where you're now a very massive contributor to this roster at the moment?
Her trust in me and her confidence in me has really helped me have confidence in myself. And once again, her guiding me back to God constantly. I know who I am this year. In the last 2 years, I was really trying to figure that out. And I used to play the comparison game a lot, and it just was never good for me. And so having this opportunity now, it's a clean slate kind of for all of us. Who are you? Was like the foundation of me this year. And so having Coach A help me through that and just kind of guide me and mentor me in that has been really big. And so I think it transitions to the game as well. I know who I am, so I know what I'm capable of, know my strengths and weaknesses. We talk about that all the time. And so playing within my strengths in the game and in the offense, and not changing my game for the offense, has been really big for me this year.
And two things. Number one, do you remember the first game where you really did feel like yourself?
At Idaho, I didn't have the best shooting game, and I was 0 for 7, I think, from the field, struggling, taking good shots, but struggling. And Coach A gave me a shout out after the game, because she had gotten into me a little bit at halftime and kind of was like, "What are you gonna do about it? Like, you're not scoring. What are you gonna do about it?" Like, and because I was struggling scoring, I remember praying at halftime, "Help me impact the game." Like, I don't know what it's gonna look like, because oftentimes in my mind, if you're not scoring, you're not helping. You're not impacting the game. And I ended the game with 6 assists and 0 turnovers against an incredible program. And we ended up winning and coming back from a deficit also. And that was a huge turning point for me, in the sense of, you have so much value to the game outside of scoring. You can score, and that's great when you do, but having an impact in other areas of the game, even ones that don't show up on the stat sheet, was really big for me to see that I was still valuable in the game. I was still able to impact, and we got the win. It was just a really cool moment for me as a player.
And then the follow-up question is, now that you've kind of found yourself a little bit, who are you as a player now?
I know who I am as a person, and that's a child of God, a masterpiece. Ephesians 2:10 is my favorite Bible verse, and so it's like, for we are all a masterpiece, created in Him to do good works, in which He's prepared for us to do. So I know God's prepared all these good works in my life, and so it's made me confident, at least on the court. And as a player, I'm going to get after it on defense. Defense, I take a lot of pride in on the defensive end. I want to execute the game plan. And then this year, I've had a huge emphasis on leadership. Coach A's trusted me a lot in the leadership department of our team. And so finding a way to get our team really rallied together and staying united and executing the game plan our coaches have laid out for us, I've taken a lot of pride in that as a player. And so I would definitely say being a leader. And then defensive end, of course. I love to get a good stop, like to get a steal, and that always transitions into offense for our team. So,
And last thing I got for you is, you were in a place the first 2 years of your career where the minutes weren't probably what you always hoped they would be. You weren't getting on the court as much, but now you've gotten that breakthrough this year. And so what advice would you give to somebody that's in those shoes right now in either high school, college, any level where maybe they aren't playing as much and the results on the stat sheet aren't what they want?
Don't give up on yourself. There were times where I wanted to just like be done and I was super frustrated, but you can never give up on yourself. Put the work in and it will pay off. You will reap what you sow. So if you're putting in the work and the extra time outside of practice, it will always pay off in one way or another, either for your character, for who you are, for the game. And so I think that's extremely important. And then simply just to know who you are on and off the court. Knowing who you are as a human really helps transition into how you are as a teammate and a player.